Normally, at the top of the hour, we take a midway break, but my producer's throwing me a curveball, and it looks like our second guest of the night's already ready. So if you can give me a hot second, I'm going to pull up my dial pad here, and we're going to be talking with the inaugural Flyweight champion, Barb Honchak. She won a technical striking match, in my opinion, won a decision victory over Vanessa Porto. And I just need to find my phone number, man. Oh, there it is. Got to pound these numbers in here. All right, there's that. Get my phone ringing. Kill the music. Yeah, we're going to be talking with Barb Honchak here in just a second. She's Invicta's inaugural Flyweight champion. Great fight. Representing MFS. Can't wait to talk with Barb. Hey, good evening, Barb.
Hi.
Hey, it's Big Perm with UMOR. How are you?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Oh, man, we're alive and kicking and rocking and rolling on a Monday night. We're doing great.
Good.
Well, Barb, before I get rolling, I wanted to bring in my co-host. I got with me Dave the Butcher Clifford. I'm sure you remember him from before. Dave, you there?
Yeah, absolutely. Welcome to the show, world champion, Barb Honchak.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome. Now I'm going to get right into it, and of course, we congratulated you, and Perm talked about the legacy of Miletich fighting and how it's rising again. So, how fitting that at a show represented by a Phoenix, you come out and take that title in its first ever contested match for it. Now, what changes for you now that you're going to be just given opponents? Is there a change from the come up to where you sit now?
The only difference is I have girls gunning for me, instead of, begging for opponents or begging for fights or anything like that, is they're going to be coming at me. So, not really much changes, I think. I've not ever really been one to handpick my opponents or anything like that. So, whoever Shannon and Janet want me to fight, I'm totally down with fighting. So, I think the only difference is now I have a piece of bling to hang on to.
Hey, bling, bling, baby, yeah. So, Barb, let's just talk about the fight real quick. I mean, it was a grueling fight. In my eyes, it was quite a technical striking match. I mean, there was some ground fighting, but not a whole lot compared to the stand-up. And I talked with you about Junior Hernandez and the work that you had done at the post-fight press conference. Your hands looked great, man, and it's definitely paying off.
Yeah, for sure. Junior is an excellent coach, and I credit a lot of, I had a little bit of striking from a few of my coaches in St. Louis, but he's definitely taken me up to another level. And Vanessa was a very tough opponent. There are definitely things that I wanted to do to her that I just couldn't make happen. So,
right.
But, I guess a lot of my fights don't really show striking. That was the first one in a really long time that has. So, he's definitely put a lot of work into me, and it's showing.
Well,
now after sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Dave. I was going to say, I looked at some of the pictures that were posted, after the fight, of your fight, and, you were ripped. I wouldn't want to get hit by one of them punches, man. So, they've done, you've done quite a good job at conditioning yourself as well, and to go that distance, the conditioning is, I think, definitely what pulled it through for you.
Oh, for sure. I have a great conditioning coach. His name is Josh Howitt. He's out in Davenport, Iowa. He has a place called BPS, and I've been working with him pretty much since I've been out here, and we picked it up a bit for this fight, for the extra rounds, and I really think that the way he conditioned me, I would have been ready to go 5 rounds in any of my Invicta fights, but we really took it up a notch, added some heavier weights, and, he's I've never been so lean in my life as I was for this fight.
Well, and one thing you can't teach is how to take punches and keep pushing forward and sticking to your game plan, because she was very good at some counter strikes. She put some leather on you, and there was some great exchanges. Now, of course, during the fight, I'm sure that it almost feels like you've got a force field on at times. Was there some of those shots that that started making you think in there? I mean, what was that like in such a well-matched fight with a hungry opponent?
Yeah, I mean, she had a few right hands that definitely connected and rocked me a little bit, but you know, like that's part of the fight, is putting on a good game face and not letting her know that. And I think that she was getting aggravated because she did keep chopping down my leg, and she did land a few punches, and I kept pushing forward on her even when she was landing those strikes. And I mean, that's, you know, you got to have a good poker face if you're going to be a fighter. You know, even if the strikes do land and that you do feel them, I'm not going to let you know that. So, you know, like, because of course anybody at this level, the killing streak's going to come in, and they're really going to start upping the pace on you if they can see it. So, yes, a few of them did hit, but no, I wasn't going to let her know it.
Well, and how much of that can be attested to your cornerman? I mean, obviously, when you come out, and the entire show, people had just royalty in their corners, and it just shows that these teams, the strategies, the lifestyles that these teams each embody, can be applied to anybody who's serious about becoming a top-level mixed martial artist.
Well, it goes not only to my. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sure. No, you go ahead.
It's not just the corners. I mean, yeah, Junior and Pat are both, my God, you know, amazing corners, but it also goes to my training partners. You know, Junior, he's the head coach, but he's a 45er, actually trying out for tough at 35er, so he's an appropriate size to be my sparring partner, and he does put it on me. And if I show him weakness in the gym, he comes even harder, you know. So it's definitely attributed to Junior and my teammates. But the corners, it's awesome to have corners, and like Pat could see when she was opening and what she was doing, and he would just yell, you know, 1, 3, 2, and I would land them, all 3 punches. So yeah, the corner is different.
You controlled the pace and the, you know, you put her where you wanted her pretty much at will. She didn't back you up even with the strikes. That game plan was flawless, and you executed it to perfection. You know, congratulations, and thank you from all of us in the Midwest for bringing another title home.
Yeah, absolutely. I know my gym wanted another world title, and they're really bad, so I was extremely proud to be able to bring that back to Militich, for sure.
So have you had any word about... Oh, I'm sorry, Barb. What were you going to say?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, you know, I mean, it's only been a few days, but has anything been floated by you as to what might be next?
No, not really. I haven't. My manager hasn't even given me a whisper of who or what would be next. Jennifer Maya, I thought, put on a pretty impressive performance in this last
Yes, she did.
So I would not be surprised if she comes up as my next opponent, but I have not heard anything from anybody about when or who. So as of right now, I know nothing. But that's an assumption that she could potentially be the next contender for the title.
So how much time do you take off before you head back to the gym?
Yep.
Well, I was in tonight. I didn't work. I just watched the guys, you know, did a little coaching, things like that. But I'm already back at the gym, technically.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as the bruises on my legs disappear, I'll be back in, though.
Well, to be a world champion, that's how. I mean, we've interviewed a lot of champions on our show, even alone, and it's one thing in common is it doesn't take long. You got to stay ready. You're in the gym all the time already, I'm sure. I mean, to be that prepared and that well skilled, huh?
Oh, for sure. And I want to hang on to this title, and I know that these girls are going to be looking at me, and they're going to come, you know, in the best shape that they possibly can. They're going to give me their best performances, so I got to be ready for every single one of them.
You know, it's a pretty nice parallel too that, you know, Pat Militich is he was the first welterweight champion in the UFC, and now here you are, first flyweight champion.
First flyweight, yeah, for
Invicta.
sure. Well, and I feel like, you know, it's been about a decade since Pat Jim was sort of, you know, the one that ruled. And women, I always say we're about 10 years behind the men in any given place. And I feel like, you know, the Invicta for us is what the UFC was for them. You know, so I feel like we're in kind of, the women are kind of in a similar place as the men were when the UFC started with Invicta. So I do feel like it's very fitting.
So, Barb, has it really sunk in that, here in, as Pat, is kind of looked at as a pioneer, I mean, has it really sunk in that, in 20 years you're going to be seen that same way as a pioneer of the sport? And, I mean, what did it feel like, after you got your hand raised, turning to Pat and locking eyes with him and seeing him for the first time? It had to feel good bringing it home.
Yeah, I was fighting tears. It was pretty awesome. Right after me, Michelle Watterson dropped to the floor and started bawling, and I definitely felt like doing the same thing after I won that title. I was trying to hold it back a little bit, though, but yeah, it was overwhelming. It was really overwhelming, and I still think it hasn't quite. It's only been a couple days, so I don't think it's quite sunk in yet. I knew what it would mean to me before the fight. I don't know that it's sunk in, and I figured out exactly what it means to me now that I have it. But it's overwhelming, and it's amazing, and it's humbling.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be. I mean, I'm sure Hoist Gracie had no idea what he was accomplishing the very first time that anybody won a tournament of this style of fighting in the main, that got picked up by a lot of people. So, I mean, it's got to, it probably won't set in for 20 years when they start talking about the legacy when women's MMA, I mean, it's just as popular. I mean, nobody ever says anything bad about it. I mean, I don't see it, and I'm around a lot. I haven't seen any assholes, except for on the internet once in a while. You'll see a video of some guy that just looks like he's trying to get publicity, It's an equal product. It's one of the few competitions. I mean, the only one I can think of is maybe tennis, where it's equally entertaining and equally competitive and fun to watch. Women compete in the same style as men. It's just an awesome thing to be a part of, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's when I started this, I don't think I ever would have expected to get as far as I did, like, in the sport. And now that I'm here and this is what it is, it's incredible. There are no words, I think. And I agree. I don't know that I understand exactly what it is going to mean 20 years from now. If I leave a legacy, if I make a mark in the sport, that's really all I can ask for by the time I retire, is to be remembered as one of the pioneers. That would be incredible.
Absolutely. And, there was, besides you winning the title and Michelle winning the title at the event, there were a couple of other moments at Invicta 5 that made waves and made headlines. Miriam Nakamoto's knockout, the Leslie Smith-Sarah Kaufman fight. What did you think about those other fights? I always like to get the fighters' opinions, of the fights that happened that night. How about Smith and Kaufman? What did you think of that one?
To be honest, I haven't seen it yet. I wasn't watching the screen. I think I was warming up at the time that fight was going on, so I still haven't seen it. And I know that the fights are still streaming live, but I haven't sat down and watched them. So, yeah, once usually they post them, they'll edit them and post them, and I'll go back and watch every single one. I'm trying to think. I know I watched the Cassie Rodish fight and a few of the earlier fights, but I didn't get to see the Kaufman-Smith fight. I know about the controversy, but I didn't get to see it firsthand. Yeah.
Well, and there were some great fights on that undercard as well. I mean, the night started out with some quick, fast finishes, and as always, Invicta puts on a great card. And Barb, you were definitely one of the highlights of the evening. It was a great, awesome performance that you put on, and again, I just got to thank you for that. As a fan, I just say thanks, man. It was freaking awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, and speaking of legacies, I mean, maybe, of course, it hasn't sunk in, but this was a record-setting for the entire Ustream website. This is a pay-per-view record. I mean, they haven't even released numbers yet, but they know that it's a record.
Shannon tends not to release numbers, and I know that for sure, but I heard that also, so I have no idea what the numbers were, but that's awesome. And I know the Ameristar was packed that night too, so there was quite a good turnout, and a lot of people saw those fights. It was great.
Dude, the show was great. I mean, the announcers. Well, anyway, that's That boxing bell tells us that we got about 2 minutes left with you. And before I let Jeremy ask you for your shout-outs and sponsors, I got a fun question I like to ask. And that is, if there were tag team MMA, who would you pick as a partner, and who would you like to face? And you can go intergender if you want, and open weight class.
God. Oh, man. Can I pick retired fighters, too?
Sure. Anyone you want.
Let's see. Oh, my gosh. I don't even know. Well, if I got to fight with another girl, I'm going to pick Kat Zingano. If I could pick anybody, anytime, man, I'm going to have to go with Pat Miletich. I'm going to steal Pat.
Oh, yeah. It's a good one. Awesome, man. Bringing back a legend. We're going to make it happen in the UMOR fantasy cage. Well, Barb, with these last few seconds that we got with you tonight, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to thank any sponsors or, any teammates, anybody that you want to give a shout-out to. The mic is yours.
I always am grateful for my team at MSS and Core Fitness, Bettendorf, Iowa. My coach, Junior Hernandez, and Pat Miletich, thank you guys very much. My manager, Brett Ashley at Edison Sports Management, I have to thank him. My conditioning coach, Josh Howitt. All of my sponsors, and I don't have my list with me, so I'm going to apologize in advance if I forgot anybody, but let me see if I can go through them. Throat Punch, One Coconut Water, Combative Gear, 7AD, Outlaw Fight Gear, I hope I'm not forgetting. Swole Nutrition. I think that's it, and if I'm wrong, I'm very sorry, but thank you. I'm grateful for all my sponsors.
Yeah, you probably
well, is there a Twitter? You got a Twitter or Facebook so people can go look and find your sponsors then? We can redeem you.
I have both. I have Palante. Oh, that's a big one. Thank you, Palante.
You bet.
I have Twitter it's at Barb Honchak. So that's pretty easy. And then my Facebook, I have a fan page at Barb Little Warrior Honchak.
Awesome. Well, make sure you guys go and check out Barb's page. Follow her on Twitter. Very exciting fighter. And Barb, thanks again for joining the show, and congratulations on being Invicta's first inaugural, flyweight champion. Congrats on it.
Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Oh, you're quite welcome. Well, and we hope to have you back on again very soon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Good night.
All righty, Dave. As we get on down the road, that was Barb Honchak, the 125-pound champion of Invicta Fighting Championships. Very confident lady, and, she said it hasn't really set in yet, but, here in, 20 years, as we look back on things, she's definitely going to be seen as a pioneer of the sport, and she's a great ambassador for the sport as well. She's a very classy lady.
Yeah, what a good interview. She's in good hands, and she's obviously a hard worker, and that work's paid off and made her a world champion once again. Congratulations, Barb Honchak, Little Warrior.
Yeah, buddy.
Go find her and become a fan now.